Hey there.
Hi guys.
Hello. Well, we have something for overtime today that we couldn't get to on the show. We've wanted to. I think I put this on everybody's desk, like last week?
Yeah.
So we want to talk to you about this anyway, because I don't know if we're ever going to get to it on the show. And this is kind of an intervention.
An intervention.
For that side of the table.
At this side. Oh. Wow, I'm noticing it's a bunch of girls on this side.
I know. Oh man.
It's not my fault.
I'm hoping
Is
you
your fault,
like.
Ron?
No, I just stand here.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
That's right.
In fact, here's what it is. According to experts, saying I'm sorry makes you look bad. Here's what successful people do instead. Now, not saying sorry at all. It's saying sorry like this. It says, do you apologize often? Are you someone who blurts out, I'm sorry, every time you've
Yep.
inconvenienced someone, even when it's not your fault? Here's some bad news. According to research, saying I'm sorry too often makes people think less of you.
Ooh.
A 2015 poll of 1,000 Americans says that we apologize too quickly for even the smallest things. 71% apologize for interrupting someone, for trying to do a favor but getting it wrong. 58% would apologize. I did you a favor and it didn't work out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Or one of my favorites, I worked with somebody once who, if you'd be walking down the hall at the same time as them, they'd sorry, and they'd get out of the way. Like the hall belonged to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so what they say is that it
So
actually
it-
makes you look bad, and it actually devalues real apologies.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
Yeah.
go ahead, confess. One,
Yes.
we're with our family.
I am
here.
guilty of this.
Me too.
I am guilty.
Yeah.
I am very guilty of this, and it's made me reading this made me be more mindful of the way I communicate, because I like the suggestions of the article. So an example, now that I've been more mindful, I like when I bump into people, I'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I was like, instead of "I'm sorry," I could say, "Oh, excuse me."
Right.
You know, like, so it's not be rude. It's like, did I do something wrong? Like, that's what I'm sorry means, which is what you say about devaluing. Did I do something wrong on purpose? No. So just being mindful of, is there something else I can say? And I think it matters. I know being weak and being meek is not necessarily bad in the Christian context, but it's a different feeling of being weak. Like, I don't want to, my husband works for a major corporation as an engineer, and there are a lot of women, well, not a lot, there needs to be more. There are some women in groups, and we were just discussing how women have to push a little more to be heard. So it is important to not come across weak, you know, and be assertive, and for our voices to be strong. And that's where I kind of fit the whole, I don't want to sound weak.
Because actually, according to the poll, women tend to apologize more than men.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
So
sorry,
do
Ron.
you apologize? Do you over apologize? And if you don't, if you have this figured out, what do you do instead of apologizing? Give us examples. Do you struggle with this, Kelly?
All the time. It doesn't matter if I'm just bumping into somebody, or I'm not sure if somebody's in line and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Like, are you next?"
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. It just automatically happens. It doesn't mean that I actually, like, I feel
You don't think about
bad,
it, yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't. It's subconscious.
You know, you apologize all
All
the
the
time.
time. Hi, Jennifer. I do. And I wouldn't, like, if you ask people that know me, I'll start with my own husband, he wouldn't describe me as a weak person. So I don't know why. Maybe it is looking for affirmation. This bad. Maybe it is
Yeah.
looking for affirmation. So maybe it is a form of insecurity. But I'm also somebody that I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I want to be nice. You know?
By the way, John is asking, what time do you go live for the regular show? We're live from 6 to 9 Eastern. So we just went off the air.
Yeah,
Which
but
is
not
why we can-
always on Mevo.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the
Facebook.
regular show is 6 to 9, but we generally, 9:05 is what we do? About?
Yeah.
About 9:05 is
Yeah.
this. Yeah, because you also, I think you know where some of this comes from for you, since we're talking about you. I would say it comes from you being such a harsh critic of yourself.
Wow.
Like,
Here
because
we
you know,
go.
almost every day when you come in, you start by saying you're sorry to me for something from the day before. I'm sorry if I was too this yesterday, or
Yeah.
I was feeling this and I'm sorry. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that is true.
So it may not be. So what are you saying? Where does it come from for you saying I'm sorry so much?
It is partly being mindful of the way I come across to people, or I don't want to hurt
That's
your
well-intentioned.
feelings. It is, but it could also be maybe some insecurity
Yeah.
and maybe caring too much about what people think. But then there's a fine line. As Christians, shouldn't we be like that? Because I in my mind, the people I'm thinking about are the people that are strong and secure in the world's term, and they look to me a little hard, like super confident. Like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be like, I don't care what people think about me. Do you see what I'm saying? There's the extreme. So how do you find the middle line of caring about what people think, but really not? Or, you know?
Yeah. Because if somebody bumps into you and doesn't say, I'm sorry, or at least excuse me, pardon me, something, your first thought is that they're a jerk. I mean,
Yeah.
frankly, that's...
I feel like there's no good balance. Either you're too timid or you're like offensive.
Yeah.
Ron doesn't struggle with that.
He says he struggles with saying I'm sorry or whatever.
I don't.
I don't hear that.
Yeah.
You think it maybe?
Well, maybe the setting. I mean, I don't... When I say I'm sorry, it's usually more a physical, like I bump into somebody and at my UPS job, there's tight quarters in a lot of places where that happens. And so it'll be, sorry, pardon me, excuse me.
But see, I think we need to think more deeply about the consequence of it. Because, like, for example, I have a relative who any food they eat, whether it's, and I'm going to be melodramatic here. No, I don't even need to be. If it's from a can, or if it's at an expensive restaurant in town, it's the best meal they've ever had. It's like, oh, I love this. It's so great. It's the best meal I've ever had.
Yeah.
So what happens to my evaluation of their opinion? Like, how can I ever believe
Right.
Yeah.
anything they say about critically analyzing something? You loved that movie. Was it good? I don't know, because you just liked this can of SpaghettiOs.
Yeah.
So when we can't be honest about those things, or when if they really feel that way, I'm not sure what to do with that person. But then, okay, we believe in repentance, right?
Right.
And repentance comes out of being sorry for sin. Is it a sin to be in the same hallway as me?
Exactly.
Are we devaluing what sin is? And are we
And
even...
what repentance and
Yeah.
apologizing really is, right?
Yeah, like, I don't have to be sorry for being in the hallway at the same time as you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right, bump into someone, oh, excuse me. But it's not a sin to bump into somebody unintentionally.
I'm sorry. I like that the article also says it puts the other person in an awkward position. They're like, okay, I guess I forgive you, but I don't really know if you've done anything wrong. I think it's important to be mindful. There's a person, he's actually somebody I look up to. He's a leader, and he also made me mindful of words I use. No. But I look up to Ron. Words I use and being mindful of it. Like, for example, I really, really is one, or let's say I'm so excited. Like, those little words, like you said, if I'm always emailing somebody and be like, I'm so excited you're coming over, or I'm so excited, then it, like you said with the can, it loses value.
It loses value, yeah.
Right, and so just thinking, I can say, man, I really appreciate that you're coming, I appreciate our time. Being mindful, or, oh my gosh, this is what it was, exclamation points on emails.
Oh, don't even start, man.
Overuse them. I realize, like, really, is it an exclamation point?
And I battle with this because when I was texting my neighbor yesterday, Broadview Heights Bill, world's greatest neighbor. He's incredible.
Yeah.
He gave me an eye roll emoji when I called him that again. If I'm sending you something and I only use periods, I'm simply giving you benign text. I'm not giving you any emotion.
Yeah.
And if I want you to know that I'm happy when I'm saying this,
Yeah.
I either feel like I have to put an emoji or an exclamation point.
Yeah.
But now we've devalued the exclamation point.
Yeah, we
I
have.
feel like a period's totally useless. It implies, now it almost in today's society implies I don't care.
Right. I agree. Hi, Jenna. She says, hi, Papa.
Hi, Jen.
Aw. Hi, Jenna. Thanks for tuning in. Sarah, Miss Anita, you always tune in.
Hey.
35 of you are tuning in. So share and
Awesome.
tell your friends and let us know how do you handle apologies, and have you maybe figured out the whole some apologies and most apologies that we share are not necessary.
Totally
and why
unnecessary.
should we care? The whole thing about exclamation points, apologies, is it I'm really excited or just saying I'm excited? Why should we care? what's the importance of being mindful of those things as we communicate?
Well, see, the most difficult thing about overdoing I'm sorry's is that it comes out of a place of humility and concern. It comes out of a place of love for neighbor. Like when you come in and generally apologize at least once to me before the show starts.
Yeah.
It's because you care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jesus says to love your neighbor as
Right.
you love yourself, and you would want that. And so it's a hard thing to be upset about because it does come from a place of concern.
Yeah.
I mean, so perhaps it's overblown, but according to this study, over apologizing makes people think less of you. And I think it devalues apology in general.
It does.
And then ultimately devalues repentance.
And why do women do it more? Hi, Lillian. Lillian says yes, including one other example is saying everything is awesome.
Everything
I
is
say awesome all the time.
Everything
Now,
is cool when you're part of a team.
Oh,
hello.
Hey.
Now, some people say you should only call God awesome.
I've heard that.
I'm not in that camp, but not everything is awesome.
Yeah. I love
I
it.
call like everything's
Right.
awesome. Nia will be like, "Oh, did you like this flip?" Nia's 5, and she's not in gymnastics. Oh yes, mommy, that was so awesome. Really, like
Right.
everything's like, whoa.
Everything's
Kathy, hi. Kathy says she does this. Tamar, she says I agree. It's step 1 of a 2-part solution.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
what Dan said is apology
Exactly.
without behavior change is manipulation.
that.
Can you
yeah.
unpack that? Like, what
We
do
just need
you?
to take a minute on Dan. That is profound.
Yes.
Apology without behavior change is manipulation.
Manipulation.
It's emotional manipulation.
Good.
So explain that.
It's like, I don't care enough about you to change. I just want to end
Right.
this moment. I'm gonna end this disagreement or this problem, just
Yeah.
and appease you. So I'm sorry, but I'm not going to change.
Yeah.
I also have to tell my kids this. It's not just about saying you're sorry. You have to show that you're sorry by changing your behavior.
Yeah.
You have to do that.
Yeah, and I think it even comes to going up to the person you wronged and say, I messed up, and claim what you did wrong and ask
Yes.
for forgiveness. Because for me, like, even though I say, like, oh, I'm sorry if I bump into somebody, if I've personally done something wrong, I'm asking for their personal forgiveness. I'm not
Yeah.
putting something on myself and
Because that's an I'm sorry that has value. It's
Yes.
one that is reflective of biblical repentance. It's I did this, I was wrong, I'm sorry, please forgive me. It's like that multiple step process.
Yeah.
Can
you-
go ahead?
Can you explain why women do this more than men? Or why? What's your
Yeah.
take?
Women are more relational.
You're setting me up. Look at you.
I want to know because
Go ahead, Ron. Nobody gets mad at you. Go ahead.
Right. I think women are more relational than men, and so they care more than men. There's a lot of guys who, wow, be mad at me. I don't care. I'm just
Yeah.
going to live my life without you.
yeah.
Wow, they care more. Ron Eastwood. I can always trust you for the right answer, bro.
Miss Anita says, I try to confess a sin against someone that is different from giving an apology. I appreciate when someone admits what they specifically did.
Yes.
She
Yes.
agrees with Kelly.
Aw. Love you.
Yeah.
Madam First Lady,
Oh, yes.
Yes.
thank you.
Lillian and Tamar joining us. Chin, you always join. Welcome. He says mindfulness is he's always deep. Mindfulness is one of the most shifted, difficult things for me as well, because it's all about perception and sensitivity. Like either it's an
Inferiority complex. yeah.
complex, or it's about misunderstanding what's the other side, and it becomes ingrained psychographically. That's pretty deep.
It's deep, bro.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
What
It
are we
is
doing?
about being mindful. And maybe it's something as women we can learn from you guys, because even in the workplace, when I look at the industries that are heavy with men, and I listen to Len tell stories of the way women kind of have to make or feel like they have to make up or make their voices stronger, or that's still a question for me. What is it in us? And maybe it's what you're saying. Maybe it's that the EQ is high,
Yeah.
but then we got to find that balance.
I think it could be, in the messy sense, a reflection of poor self-esteem.
So then you're saying
I'm not saying all women, but
Exactly.
I'm saying
Yeah.
if I'm walking down the hall, there's a
that's
hallway.
an extreme.
But
Boy,
it's a
always-
real world example.
Okay,
And so I
okay,
think it helps
yeah.
illustrate a point. If I'm walking down the hall and it's not my hallway, and I didn't have an appointment to walk down right now,
Yeah.
and we're both walking down this hall, and you say you're sorry to me that we're both in a small hallway, it says that you don't deserve to be there.
Wow.
That it's my hallway and I deserve to be in that hallway more than you. Isn't that a reflection of low self-worth if that person is saying they're sorry to me for being in the same hallway? And so if that's, and I think that's a safe assumption, and if that's the case, that if you're sorry for something you don't need to be sorry for,
Yeah.
isn't that a reflection of low self-worth?
I mean, and I've even apologized for a guy opening a door for me because I was like, oh, sorry, like, I need to get through really quick. And they're like, no, I'm opening the door for you.
Yeah.
I'm
I've
terrible with
apologized
doors.
about my kids. About my kids
Well,
either.
I've apologized about my No,
no.
shit.
Like, let's say we're at a restaurant, like, we're at a grocery store, and they're like, we're a lot to take in because we're a big group.
Right.
It is a form of insecurity. Like, I deserve to be there, and this is a public place, and yes, I have 6 kids, and you may just have to push back a little bit more. So it is that feeling of, not I don't deserve to be there, but like, feeling bad for the size of my family, or they're acting like little kids.
But you don't need to be sorry for that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it manifests itself in different ways.
By the way, pause. Tamar says, deep, Brian. Thank you.
No,
No?
Tamar, no. See this? Then we shut this off, and then we got to deal with Brian.
No, did you hear what Tamar said? I'll take a screenshot.
I guess.
But so you're agreeing with me
I am agreeing.
that.
And
So
it's-
how does that make you feel? If you're someone who, when we started this, said that you struggle with over apologizing, that may not be the only reason. I'm not saying that it's a formula, as in if you over apologize, clearly you have lower self-esteem. There may be other reasons. Do you think?
I think it's a mixture of that. It's a mixture of making sure me and the other person are okay. Like, is everybody happy?
I see that more for you than.
And then insecurity.
Have you struggled with insecurity? Can I ask you this on overtime?
Wow, that's like a whole
She
other...
doesn't have to answer.
You know what I
We're on
noticed?
Friday.
Can I say something? I sound like somebody that's
Your show.
I'm like sharing a whole lot of my issues like on this side.
Go ahead.
Can we like hear about your...
Oh no, we're just asking you
Oh my
questions.
gosh. Yes, I do. But I do struggle
Why?
with it. And my mother is confused because she was like, this is new. Like when I was in middle school, high school, that was not an issue for me. And yeah. Now...
But people would see you and go, homeschool mom, 6 kids, a wonderful husband. You live in. I mean,
Yeah.
you're you have all these wonderful things going for you.
Yeah,
How could
yeah.
somebody like you feel lower self? Where does that come from?
Not overall low self-esteem, but I do question myself a lot.
I mean, I do too. I'm just trying to help unpack it. I feel I have some of the same struggle.
Yeah.
It's actually an odd thing for people. This is one of those oddities I've learned in this business. Oftentimes people who are in the public eye, like in radio or television, really struggle with self-image
Oh my gosh, with that,
and self-confidence.
it's self-confidence and pride.
All those
I
things.
was, oh my goodness. Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's been a minister for decades, and he was saying, because I have an issue with people in ministry not liking when people say, man, you did a great job. And he was like, what's behind that is we struggle with pride. And so the more people tell us, the more it just messes, because you
Okay.
want to be affirmed, but then when you're in ministry, it shouldn't be about you.
Well, but I mean, with the case of Sanj, our friend from Ravi Zacharias Ministries, one
yeah.
of the best testimonies ever, Sanj Kalra. Sanj is at Founders Week. I'm emceeing in Chicago. He does this thing. People are standing ovation. He comes, stands next to me in his seat. I lean up and I go, because he's taller than me, I go, that was great, Sanj. He goes, really? Was it okay? Do you think I did well?
Yeah.
I want to go, are you kidding me? That was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And I love what Jennifer has to say, and I think she has a point here. My self-doubt comes from perfectionism. I think it can also come from people pleasing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and you know what? There's a great point coming in here from Janet.
Yeah.
Don't make common courtesy or politeness be some psychological trauma.
So then it is that women are more polite than men.
Well, but okay. So what she's saying then is if you bump into someone, it's common courtesy
Yeah.
to say I'm sorry.
So don't like, oh, I'm sorry. Wait. And then in your head,
Yeah, like-
should I have said that? I shouldn't have said that.
I'm going
They're
to say
think
one
I'm
thing.
weak.
One thing my mom and I noticed is if you go to DR, you don't hear that much apology in the context of like I bumped into you. Americans have this thing, starting with my husband, he literally says my personal space is 1 foot all around. And I'm like, you don't pay rent up in here? Like 1 foot, that's a lot. There are 7 billion of us trying to get some
I
space.
feel like Len's being generous. I got like 2 feet.
We are big about personal space in this
Yeah.
country, with me included, because I'm, I've grown up here.
Is
You
it
don't think-
common? Is it common courtesy?
I don't know. I think
Because
it's,
I'm agreeing with you on what that it is cultural. Like Americans have a much wider bubble of personal space, like you're saying. I think that's true.
and very sensitive about if people touch you.
So then,
Yes.
is it over apologizing to say I'm sorry when you bump into someone, or is it just common courtesy? Because what Janet's saying is just basically calm down. It's common courtesy. I don't know. Should it be common
Yeah.
courtesy?
I think to acknowledge that you've bumped into the person is common courtesy. Whether you say I'm sorry, pardon me, excuse me, or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Right.
I love the points being shared. Janet, thank you. Rod, hi Rod. Rod says quiet confidence is a mind booster.
It is.
Lisa says women are nurturers though, so I believe it comes easier for us to take into consideration other people, especially those with big families at restaurants. It can be overwhelming for waitresses and waiters.
And Lisa knows
Yeah.
because she's related to that one.
Yeah, when we
Lisa,
go somewhere.
We love you.
Callie, hi.
It's her first time watching
First
us.
time. Callie, what we're discussing is a study that shows that women compared to men over apologize and that we say I'm sorry when it's completely unnecessary and that it loses value.
And it makes you look bad.
True apology, lose value. It does make you look bad and you look weaker. And so the question is, how have you struggled with it? What do you say instead of an I'm sorry? I used an example like when you bump into somebody, you can say, excuse me, because you didn't do anything wrong intentionally. So to say I'm sorry is like, why would you say I'm sorry?
Although I'm not all that bothered by if I bump into somebody, oh, sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
Like, I guess I'm not too bothered by that. I'm bothered more by there are people you'll meet that are sorry for everything.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
sorry that they got in your way. They're sorry that they reached for this before you did. They're sorry that things that are not things that you should be sorry for.
Like
Right.
maybe if we went back to the coffee machine and it didn't have water in it, and you said, "Oh, there's no water," and they'd say, "I'm sorry, but it's not your fault."
Yeah,
that
it's not
there's
your
no
job
water."
to fill that for me.
Right.
Yeah. Unless you were the last one to get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
common courtesy says fill up the water thing, whatever.
Thank you for tuning in. We wish we could keep going. We love hanging with you guys.
Yeah, we
Continue the discussion. We're talking about apologies. When are they unnecessary? And come back tomorrow, 9:05.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
After a while.